Hi. How are you?
Twinkle.
Kind of smaller, but how are you?
Good,
Have a seat,
thank
have a
you.
seat. Thank you for allowing us to take some of your time. We understand that you're very, very busy. And yeah, how have you been really?
Good.
I mean, I was talking to the other guy, and he said you're okay.
Actually, we're working now with San Miguel Properties to actually come up with this pioneer community. As you know, we were talking about extreme winds, no? And tapos extreme rain. And if you really went to the left side of the board, extreme drought. So how's that in the future for our communities, we will be hit by climate change and we're least able to adapt. How can communities be able to really prepare for a long-term cycle of climate changes?
Okay, where are these things really coming from? I mean, you as an Illac Diaz, how did you come up with this kind of advocacy? I understand you're a social entrepreneur and you have been doing this for kind of very long time.
Yeah, it's about 8 years, Lloyd. We started out with rural areas, and basically when typhoons hit the rural areas, the vulnerable go to classrooms. And the problem with these classrooms is if they're not built well, a lot of them collapse with people inside. And so that's why the Philippines is number 8 in the world when it comes to loss of property and life. We're basically on the top of the heap with climate risk.
Right, but what brought you here? What you are doing right now? Because somebody pushed you to do this?
No.
You were inspired by one incident?
I was inspired by you.
No. So you mean I am a disaster?
You're a motivator. No,
Yeah.
So no, it was really many years about really just being conscious about the fact that it's an injustice if you can look for some method to be able to lessen the impact of this kind of climate changes. And so I love technological stuff. I love designing sustainable housing. And I was thinking, would there be a way for this to cross over social responsibility and obligation to try to look for new methods?
All right.
I think, the greatest challenge before was poverty, and the worst is really adding the burden of climate change to that. And in fact, it's making poverty even more difficult to solve.
So not only do you have a nation with so many people who are living in this kind of environment,
and
you
getting
also-
worse, and it's gonna get worse.
Right.
So the point is, when the initial manifestations of long-term climate change happened, especially Ondoy, when 80% of Manila went underwater, I think it's a responsibility to already start addressing how do we live flood lifestyles? How do we live instead of getting people and then just throwing them to the boondocks? How do we preserve livelihood by moving them in city? But when you're in city, when it floods, you lose energy, you lose water supply, food.
You lose
That's-
time.
Well, you lose time because in the same way you have to pay for all of this. So the way we always solve this is at the end of the storm, we always give donations of food, water, pero alam mo cash burn yun eh. Yung
Right.
sabi, it's at the end of the storm, people that work in the problem is given a lot of credit. So what we're saying is, what if we use all of that money and use it ahead of the storm and design already for stronger communities? That way,
Right.
we save on having to do this yearly cycle of destruction and reconstruction. And so that's why we're inviting 20,000 of the top architects around the world. Don't give us...
That's the promotion.
That's
part.
the design against elements. How can you build stronger communities for vulnerable, urban, low-income communities in tropical
Right.
countries?
But does it take to be an MIT graduate in order for you to understand this?
Well, in Manila, you have to go to Mapua Institute of Technology, pero sa Boston.
He is a Boston engineer, the MIT guy, And I should be proud. I am from the PUP, the Polytechnic University of the Philippines. So, does it take does it take a foreign education to actually realize this kind of advocacy?
Not really. What it needs is foreign exposure because all kinds of solution comes from all over the world.
Yes.
So what these kind of institutions is, it's an integrated, there's different people coming in with different ideas. And so to have an international community it's great because then you have you're better equipped to solve a local problem.
Right.
Example, alternative construction can be used for building better and safer schools.
Right, right.
Which will be shelter for climate, wind speeds, rains. I mean, these are like bomb shelters for the vulnerable in the provinces. But for Ondoy hit areas, it allows us to build plastic bottle schools where we don't have any materials or no budget to build. And now we're trying to say it's not just a school. Let's just rebuild. Let's just not reinvent. Let's just turn the whole thing upside down and
innovate.
Yeah, let's start out with something that has never been done before.
Well, what did you take in college?
I took up MECO, and then I took up Management Economics.
Yeah, MECO.
Then Urban Planning, then Masters of Urban Planning, and Masters in Public Policy.
So more or less, when you were still in school, you were actually getting this kind of idea because
my father. We actually built our own beach houses, and renovation in the house has always been a matter of like buying buying materials, and so I really saw the whole process of constructing from bits and pieces to see a magnificent structure.
So why not engineering? I mean, civil engineering or architecture.
I was more interested in the layout of communities, how communities will be sustainable, especially low-income communities. And so urban planning has a bit of everything, like a general practitioner, but really...
You didn't get any offer of like becoming a city engineer or something from the government? No invitation?
No, because my specialty is really in alternatives, which is not really mainstream yet.
Right.
But one day it will be.
Okay. Oh, we are going to wait for that time. And you're still single?
Are you sure this is not a talk show? Business show.
This is a business show. It has something to do with the next question that I'm going to ask.
Well, I have my bucket list, and so I've been. Bakit hindi? No. Yeah, well, why can't I study in some of the best
my
schools?
question is,
Why can't I travel? So I did all of that, and then there will be
Wait a minute. Hold your horses. My question is actually answerable with a yes or a no.
So yes, I'm single, and no, I won't remain single forever. Yun ang tanong at sagot. The long and short.
So the next question is why?
Because of my bucket list.
Okay, let's proceed with the bucket list.
Well, I wanted to travel to 100 countries, to see the human patrimony, to see the world. I wanted to study, to have an experience of studying under the best minds, so studying under the best schools.
Right.
And I wanted to make a difference in the world.
And having a family of sort.
And that's number 5.
That's number 5? How young are you?
I'm 37.
37, so very young. I'm 28. You're a decade older than myself.
We look the same, People can tell the difference.
I'm just calculating when are you really going to get married. But anyway,
I don't have, yung fan base ko hindi masyado mataas. Ang dami mong like, ako kulang pa. One day I'll be a LLOYD Luna.
Oh well, I don't have such enormous and huge advocacies as you are. I mean, you're doing a lot of these majestic and wonderful things. And
it's just a start.
I don't know, where do you get your energy?
I'm just passionate about it, and the energy follows. I mean,
aside from the whatever your ascorbic acid that you're actually taking, but where do you really get the energy?
I think being fit. Being fit helps with everything else. You can travel.
Fit,
you can.
What do you do to really get fit?
Well, I jog a lot, like 3 or 4 times a week.
Inside your room or something?
No. I have a bike. I have a spinning bike in my room. But it's just maintaining the base of everything. Is as you work more, it's without sacrificing the basics: health, nutrition, and so everything else follows that.
What about if I offer you, say, like the president of the LLOYD Luna company, and this is a private. This is basically not a social entrepreneurship thing. Are you going to accept it? Say, for example, San Miguel offered you. Why don't you be the CEO of San Miguel? Are you going to give up your what you're doing right now in exchange of that?